Alright, hello y'all. Today is, March, the 16th, 2019, and today we're going to be talking about reparations. Well, the question is, should black people receive reparations for because I'm black, our ancestors being enslaved? And my answer to that would be no. But then some people, because I can't speak for all, would be, yeah. And the reason why I sort of somewhat agree with, the people that claim that they want reparations is because, you look at the history of what happened, people of color invented, the blood transfusion machine, invented the stoplight, invented a lot of things, but received little to no credit for their inventions. And, slavery was bad and things of that nature, and the people did not receive anything or whatever from slavery or whatever. So with that being said, I'm sort of like in the middle. On one side I'm like no, but then on the other side I'm like yeah, but the other side is like, yeah, whatever. So when it comes down to this debate, we look at what happened. And the thing about it, my stance majority on reparations is like, I don't think that the government should just give black people a whole, like the money. I believe that they should have programs set up to where they have, they teach black people about business ownership, and then they also put up grants and things for black people to start up businesses. That's what I believe. They should give black people, be a little bit more lenient, give them loans and things like that so they can start up their own businesses and things of that nature. That's what I think. And the thing about it with the whole situation is people say, well, who would pay the reparations or whatever? And America currently gives $113 billion away to people that are non-American citizens. So, you look at sanctuary cities, look at all these things, they currently already give those things away anyway for people that's not even American citizens. They don't even really pay taxes or anything. So my thing about it with the whole situation is they are capable of doing that. They are capable of doing reparations and things of that nature. They are capable of that. They are indeed capable of doing that. Now the argument is, with the whole situation, is that possible? And the thing is, do black people make up a large voting, a large voting, a block to get that done? And the answer to that is yes, but no. Democrats are mainly focused on these illegal people. They're going to eventually replace the black votes, eventually. And then reparations talk will not be a part of any of the issues they're going to be pushing. Now, since it's election time, it's near 2020, that's kind of what they're going to be pushing is reparations. Because how else do they defeat Trump? But I look at it like this with the Trump administration. Trump has done really good on prison reform. He has done really good on the issue of the lowest black unemployment. And then there was even talks about how Trump was going to be investing $100 billion in urban revitalization and things of that nature. And in my book, I believe that urban revitalization is kind of it for me. Like, I think if he has already got that done, or if he can get that done, I believe that's enough. Teach these black people how to fish, okay? I don't really agree with, oh, just give them a fish. Teach them to fish. Because you just walk around here just giving people money or whatever. and people don't know what to do with the money. They go and buy cars or, buy clothes or whatever. Then you look up, then they're in the same position. Hey, that was kind of a waste of money. But do I think that white people should give their property to black people? No, I do not. Do I think that the federal government should write out some type of revitalization bill like Trump, has already came up with? I think if Trump just go through with that, I think that would be good enough. Teach these black folks to fish. Teach them to have their own businesses. Try to push legislation to bring these families back together. Push for a lot of things of that nature. And I think, in my book, that's good enough. I don't really say, well, we should just give these folks a whole bunch of money. That's, and then the people spending money up on nothing, and then now we're back in the same situation or whatever. Them complaining about whoever. So I would actually have to disagree with the stance of just giving out money. I think if Trump could just do that urban revitalization bill, I believe that would be enough in my book. That's pretty much the push that black America needs. You could say these grants for businesses, loans for businesses and things of that nature for what black America had been through and stuff. During those times of inequality. And I think the thing is, that's just how I feel about reparations. Just teach us to fish, and we're gonna fish. We're gonna, rebuild the communities that we live in and things of that nature, and we become more productive citizens and things like that. Me, I consider myself a black conservative. I'm not liberal or any of that. I believe that people should be, more accountable for their decisions. They should be making good decisions. They should be, pushing family, morals and values, limited government, pro-business, pro-home ownership, leadership. They need to be teaching their children to love, teaching their children about God, teaching their children about family, wisdom. That's kind of where I stand as a black conservative. So, liberals like, hey, just give me something. Give me a whole bunch of money, whatever, and that'll solve the problems. But money can't replace what happened in the past. The only thing that I feel like could really do a good job at getting that done is just pushing for black business ownership, putting funding into things to teach these black people about entrepreneurship, and naturally, black people will live out of poverty based off of that. But if you just say, well, hey, let me go and write some checks out for some black people, and then whatever they do with the money is just on them, and that's kind of the liberal way of doing it. But the thing that black America failed to realize is that there was reparations at one point. And Abe Lincoln, after signing the Emancipation, he actually had, granted the freed slaves reparations. But Andrew Johnson was, he wasn't liking it. He was a Democrat, and he said, he took those reparations away. People, you have to look that story up. But most of the insignificant history of this country that disproportionately came out against black people were pushed predominantly by the liberal left or whatever. You talk about, we get down into the history, the Republican Party, voted 100% in slavery. Democrat voted 23% on the 13th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was championed 94% by the Republican Party, 0% by the liberals, which that 14th Amendment was the right of a citizenship. You see the Democrats nowadays fighting for rights for illegal people. And like I said before, that $113 billion could have went to black people for reparations instead of going away to a bunch of illegal people that's not even American citizens or whatever. So that's kind of where that could have been. But that goes to show that they're fighting more for them than they are you, even though you give them pretty much 80 to 90% of your vote every election time, and it nearly was at 100% at one point in time. But since, the current administration got up in there, a lot of people are not really Democrat anymore in the black community. So when it comes down to the argument on that situation, civil rights, who would actually pay the reparations? Who would pay them? And I think they would just put something in a spending bill. So I don't really think that, individually you would actually pay for that. But, but you talk about socialism, and they're going to use this reparations argument to push the Green New Deal, which is trash. They're going to use that argument to push that, their Green New Deal, which they're talking about the world is going to end by 2030 if a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So they're using the black community as a weapon to push their agenda, basically. And they're using every minority that they can to push their agenda. And reparations just so happen to be on the table to try to win and score some points. But you really want, and then I look at it like this, with the whole situation. White people, whether, they're Democrat or conservative, have to acknowledge the history of this nation. They have to acknowledge it. And it was insignificantly terrible towards people of color. But history tells us that the white liberals were the ones initiating 80 to 90% of the hate amongst black people. We talk about, okay, the 13th Amendment, we said what, 100% was championed by Republicans, 23% by Democrats. The 14th Amendment was championed 94% by Republicans, 0% by Democrats, and that gave the freed slaves a citizenship. The 15th Amendment was championed 94% by the Republicans, 0% by the Democrats, and that gave the freed slaves the right to vote. So you see Democrats sort of fighting for these illegal people that will pretty much tear down the black community. Because all the focus is on these illegals. It's not on the black people anymore. It was pretty much never on the black people. It was always on non-American citizens. And we get to the Jim Crow era. We talk about the KKK. The KKK was founded by Southern Dixiecrat Democrat Nathan Forrest, pushed by the radical Southern Democrat Party. So you look at all these histories and all, you're oppressed because you're mainly voting for the oppressor. But now the oppressor's like, okay, we gotta try to give them something. Reparations, we gotta try to do something. And Mighty Funny Reparations kind of was at the same time that argument came up, was the argument when they was pushing their Green New Deal so they can try to sell the Green New Deal to the black community. Like, okay, well, if we're going to get reparations, we should also throw in the Green New Deal with the reparations and kind of put those all together, and you support us on that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, that's crazy, but they're going to try it. And like I said before, when black America was thriving, it was thriving because we was together. The black family was together. The black business ownership was really high, higher than it is today. Half of the businesses, my mouth may be off a little bit, half of the businesses in the Jim Crow South, or if not, almost close to half of the businesses in Jim Crow South was black owned because of segregation. So we look at history. Jim Crow was championed by Democrats. Woodrow Wilson, he championed Jim Crow, and also the Southern Democrat Party also championed Jim Crow. And history tells us a lot. You did not get your first black Democrat congressman until 1935. Your first black Republican congressman was elected in 1870. It took 65 years for a black to become a Democrat. 1870, your first black conservative was sworn in by the Republican, the white Republican legislator or whatever in Mississippi. Very racist state. Still is to this day. Could be seen as very racist. But that's just my stance. I'm kind of in the middle. But I feel like I'm more on the side of no when it come down. But I'm also on the side of yeah when it come down to if they do urban revitalization investing $100 billion into these inner cities, getting businesses back ran up and stuff like that, bringing these families back together. That's pretty much where I stand. So I guess I would say no to the money, but yes to the opportunities, because black people need opportunities in order to succeed. They need to, that urban revitalization, I think that's a really good start for Trump, and I think that's something that he needs to be pushing, and he needs to be talking about every time, he, addresses black people or whatever. And my thing about the whole situation is nothing wrong with being black and conservative. There's nothing wrong with it. Me, I'm black, I'm conservative, and I'm a free thinker. I'm not angry at white people. I don't even give a damn about, white people for the most part, looking at them as if they're racist or whatever. That's not what I do. I don't care. I understand that, their ancestors were not right, but I don't hold that against them today. That's just not how I am. And people should be teaching their children to love, teaching them wisdom, teaching them about family, teaching them to treat others in which way they want to be treated and things like that. And conservatives, how to get back in these schools and push morals and values and get things under control in these schools, and we can go from there. But I believe that there is a big, massive, it's going to be a big black vote someday for the GOP coming pretty soon. That's what I believe. But reparations, if, you're liberal, whatever, is going to be just measured by how much they can give you, whatever. Me, black conservatives, like, okay, black-owned businesses, entrepreneurship, home ownership, things of that nature, that's kind of where I stand. That's where I feel like the money should go. I don't think it should just go into the pockets of people that don't, that probably don't really know what to do with the money, because as our culture, as black people, if, we were never taught to save money, we were never taught to invest money, majority of black people didn't have a father in their life, our moms were emotional and stuff like that, so we were not really taught the bread and butter on what to do with money. But at the same time, we need to be taught that, and they need to be investing that money in the right places. Black business ownership and stuff like that. Black businesses and things of that nature. That's where they need to be putting the money at. And if Trump can get a bill passed like that, that would be my form of reparations. Hey, you may disagree, and you have the right to, and you may have a point. But that's where I feel like the business ownership is where I'm at. I'm not really with all that giving people money. I think that they should give, these business grants in these neighborhoods that are ravaged with crime, where Democrats pretty much majority of the time hold the power. And that's pretty much where they should start. And I think, Trump doing that, having his black conservative business summit that he had, I want to say it was back in like 2017 or something, where he had all these black people that ran businesses and things of that nature. I thought that was beautiful. I don't believe in segregation at all. I just address the problems that are, that have affected people. But people take things differently. And that's just pretty much what it comes down to. People take things totally different in this nation. People on the left that are black, they feel like racism determines everything. I don't feel like that. Now, if you're going to give out any money, you should just put loans out there for black business ownership and stuff like that. And you should have classes, opportunities. That's what we need. Opportunities more than anything. You can give a person $1, they go spend that $1, then they're back at the same, they're crying and, still talking about racism or whatever. These black folks need to be taught to fit.